Hello, hello again, my friends. You're listening to, viewing another edition of Tell It Like It Is TV. Tell It Like It is brought to you by Unity Political. Stop it.
I think it's
Hit the
stop.
button.
It's stop.
Hello, 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 my friends, and welcome to another edition of Tell It Like It Is TV. I'm your host, the Reverend Dr. Leonard Small, pastor of the Litway Missionary Baptist Church, located at 2335 Shell Road in the Thunderbolt community here in Savannah. We invite you, of course, to our church services that take place every Sunday. We have an 8 o'clock service where my ministers who are under me preach, and they call them the sons and daughters of thunder because, of course, they call me Thunder. And we thank God for you and especially you. We invite you to any of our services. Normally I preach at the 11:30 hour, so come in and get in where you fit in. If you want to see previous shows of Tell It Like It Is TV, you may just go on the World Wide Web, type in Tell It Like It Is TV, and you'll get us, or you can go on Facebook, where we have a page called Tell It Like It Is TV. We have a special guest here today, none other than my friend of probably 3 or 4 decades, John Wiltshire.
Hi. That's what happened.
And of course, I'm here with my good friend, good friend, John Wiltshire, who's running for sheriff of Chatham County. How you doing, partner?
Fine, Rev. How you doing? Thank you for having me back in your house of worship. And I appreciate everything. You know, you're just a gentleman and a scholar. I don't know what else to say about
A gentleman and a scholar. I'm feeling good about myself. So listen, we had the special election,
it. Right,
and you're in the runoff.
right.
Okay. How you feeling about it?
Feel great. 2/3 of the people in this community voted for a change.
Mhm.
And I think they're ready for a change, and I'm ready to perform that change for the people in this community.
Well, a lot of times people don't know how important the office of sheriff is. I do because, of course, I've been back and forth out at the jail with people and for people. And in my younger age, I was an inmate in prison. So went to jail and then went to prison. And so I know experientially what it means to have the right guy in charge of you. I remember there was a guard in the county jail named Smitty, and everybody in that jail knew if they dealt with Smitty, and this was in 1974, everybody knew if they dealt with Smitty, they'd get a square deal. And then when I came home and started ministering in the jail, I always knew that if I dealt with John Wiltshire, that's all I needed to do. I knew I would get a square deal. You would do everything you could inside the law and fair. And I've actually sent other people to you and just said, okay, listen, you get to the jail, go see Colonel Wiltshire, Major Wiltshire, whatever you was at a given time. And if he can help you, you will be helped.
Yeah. Well, I'm for the people. The sheriff is dedicated to serve and protect the people in this community. And it means help everybody, not just the people that works at the jail, but the people who come into the jail to visit their loved ones, you know. They have certain things that they need done and certain things they need to be performed to help them get through their situation out there, and we need to help them help their people.
Well, you know, for years, and I'm a veteran of the jail in one way or another, like
Right.
I've said. I was in the county jail on Havisham
Right,
Street and was shipped off from there. By the time I got back and started trying to go to the jail to help people, Walter Mitchell had taken over the jail, and ultimately, of course, MacArthur Holmes.
right.
And I remember you and I talking during the time when MacArthur was trying to get it, and how you supported him in that effort.
Yes, sir.
Brother Enoch, who now has been working for the city, I remember you helping to get him moved up through the ranks at times, because you'd have, me and you would put our heads together. I remember one time you had me go and talk to the sheriff.
Right.
And the sheriff and I were personal friends, and folks who don't know, I can give you a quick synopsis. the sheriff was running, and Deanie Frazier, former county commissioner, wanted him to get elected. He'd been the chief of police for the county.
Right.
And so she wanted to get him elected, and he was up against Mahaney, one of the Mahaney boys. And it was in betwixt and between. And they had the race, and they were in a runoff, much like we are today. And we had a meeting, and they asked me to come to the meeting. I said, Deanie, I'm not in this. I so and so and so and so. You know, I'm ex-offender. I don't need to be. Well, Leonard, you love people, and people love you. You could help. So I went to the meeting, and they went around the room and asked folk, you know, why would you? What would you like to see happen, or what would you need to help us do this? So a couple of people said, well, I need you to help me with this organization and such and such and such and such. And a lot of it was funding for one thing or another, or they were going to be paid staffers.
Right.
And they got to me and asked me what I want. I said, I don't want anything. Much like when you and I talk.
Right.
I don't want anything. I want good government. I want people to be treated right. I want people to be treated fairly. And he said, well, it's got to be something you want. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? They were giving me a hard time going in back and forth in the jail. I said, I want 24-hour access to the people in the jail. And the sheriff did that. He said, well, that's it. I said, that's it. And I just needed it so I could minister to my people. And of course, Henrietta and I went back and forth into the jail helping people, people who are listening to this show right now,
Right.
by hundreds. And we blessed a lot of folk. So when you've got the right sheriff, when you got the right person in the right place, it makes a huge difference.
Sure it does. And one other thing about the sheriff's department too, I think everybody should have an equal opportunity to be raised up in the sheriff's office. Like me, I started at the bottom ladder on the rung and climbed that ladder, and I think everybody there deserves that chance. Not bringing people from the outside and putting them in positions without letting your people there at least apply for the jobs and get turned down, not just bring them in off the street. The sheriff's office is just like, kind of like your congregation in your church. It's one big family. And I used to go in every day and talk to the people, you know, how's your mother, how's your brother, you know, can we help you, do you need any help? Walk the halls, talk to the people. And that's something that they've got away from out there. There's all kind of animosity there because nobody, the officers that work there think nobody cares about it.
Well, you know, now that you mentioned that, you know I've been a catch-all for every kind of issue that goes on with our people in Savannah. While I was in the back, I was getting phone calls from some young ladies who were going through issues. One young lady called me from the Salvation Army, and she's working. She's raising 2 boys, but she doesn't have housing, and she's struggling. And a lot of times we have people, we have this statement now that we didn't have called the working poor. Mm-hmm. You know, the people who are working hard, trying to make it, but they can't make it because they're just not making enough for the times we live in. And too many times when people are working at it, get a good job, a decent job. I have a member from this church who was working at the jail and basically quit. Said, it's just too much. It's too much infighting. It's too much politicking. And so the morale is at an all-time low.
Correct.
You can lose your job funny. You can get fired for little or nothing. The last couple of years or so, the things that have been going on are unreasonable and untenable in terms of care and keeping, because keeping of inmates is a ministry. Now, see, the word ministry only means service.
Right.
And the keeping of inmates and the caring for the judicial process, taking folks back and forth to court,
Sure.
how you take them to court, how you treat them, and when you transport them, you know,
Right.
all that's overseen by the sheriff. And you want people, particularly since we believe, based on our tenet, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Sure.
You don't want people treated bad before they're adjudicated.
Sure, I agree with you, and you know, they need to be treated with respect. They should respect you and you should respect them. You don't demand respect, you earn respect. And, you know, they are not guilty until they're proven guilty. They're what they call a pretrial or post-trial. And, you know, some people are in there as not guilty. When they go to court, they found not guilty. So why treat them harshly or whatever? You know, they have rules that governs inmates on things that you can do if they get out of hand or whatever, like take their visitation or take their commissary for a day or two or take their phone privileges, whatever. But that's a tool you can use to control the jail. But you don't need to treat them inhumane and cruel.
Right, right. Well, like I said, I ran into some good ones, and I ran into some bad ones.
Yes.
You know, when people have you in their custody, I remember a lieutenant treated me harshly until the state came out to the old Chatham number 2. Then he ran up to me and brought me a bunch of these credit slips. When you do good, they're supposed to write these slips. He brought me about 8 or 9 of them one day. So I know I'm gonna overdo giving these to you, but because he knew that they would come and talk to me because I was statewide trustee.
Yep.
And when the man came, I said, I'll talk to you, but you can't leave me here. When you get back to Atlanta and I'm stuck here, this is not going to be pretty.
Right.
So he said, well, if you got something worthwhile to tell me, I guarantee you won't be here. I pulled the slips out. I said, well, he gave me all 9 of these this morning. He said, all 9. I said, they've been holding these back on me. I need these kind of things to help me get out of prison. And he kept these back from me until the day, because he knew I was going to come and talk to you.
Right.
And then I told him about several other things, and he left one morning. The next morning I was in Springfield. So he kept his word, I kept my word, he kept his word. And we need people who are responsible and caring. And actually that lieutenant stopped me walking down 119, because I was a statewide trustee, and said he'd done me wrong. He'd lost his job and all that, and he was going through some changes. He said he knew I was a real man who loved the Lord. I was still an inmate, in my white with stripes.
Right.
And he said, I know you're a good man. And he said, would you forgive me? I said, yes. He said, would you pray for me? And I leaned in his car and prayed for him right there. And so by the time you saw me, those seeds had started bearing fruit.
But we have to treat them with, like I said, humane and dignity in there. You need to care for them. And if their families call, you need to try to answer all the questions you can for the families. If it's a medical question under HIPAA, you can't. But if it's something other than just knowing, how is Leonard Smalls doing, you can talk to the family and say, he's doing fine, I'll have him to call you. Somebody would write me a letter when I was there, where I was a captain or lieutenant or colonel or whatever, and they said they needed help. I would go down and see them, see what they wanted. And when their families, and I know you've sent a lot of families out there to me, and a lot of planes has come out there several times and talked to me about people in the jail, and I told them I'd handle it, and I did. I handled it.
Yes, you did.
I think people need to get back to the basics. We're human beings, they're human beings. We need to treat each other like human beings.
Well, you know, Solana is one of your chief cheerleaders.
I know she is.
and so many of us who've been back and forth helping people and blessing folk, just down through the years.
Right.
There's folk who, Sister Morris, I've got one of the young ladies out here. Agatha Morris went back and forth out there as long as she could. And we got one of the young ladies she had ministered to so close, who's a member of this church now. Matter of fact, she's doing a clothes giveaway as a lay minister of this church on the 19th over in 38th Street Park.
Right.
So you can go to that jail and you can get something from someone while you're there and come back and make a difference in your community.
Sure.
That's what we've done.
They have. And the other thing, too, about the young people in this community, we need to start at home with them when they're 2 and 3 years old and have them right here where we're sitting every Sunday in church to bring them back closer to the Lord. That's something that's really going to help this community. And when I get elected sheriff, I intend to bring an outside group in and my inside group in, and we're gonna sit down and talk and see what things y'all need or what things y'all think should be done. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna come to some clarity on everything, to make sure that things are done right, make sure nothing is done wrong. And as you know, people are human to err. They're gonna do things
Right.
wrong, but you correct that right then and there.
Mhm.
And, them closing down the lobby at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, people go out there at 8, 9 o'clock at night to get somebody out of jail. But if it's a mother with 2 kids, they have nowhere to go to the restroom or anything. And, they've closed that down. And I understand now they're talking about closing down visitation on Saturday and Sunday, which, you're taking away people's rights when you do that. They have rights to go see their loved ones. And a lot of people work during the week. They
Mhm.
don't got only Saturday and Sunday to go out there and see them,
Well, the average person voting next election, and when is that election?
March 29th.
On March 29th, the average person doesn't know that story. See, they don't know that right now, changes are being made that affect families at the jail in a negative fashion. You close down that lobby at 5 o'clock, and someone's going to be released out of that jail at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night. Where does that wife who comes to pick up that man and her children go to the restroom? See, it's like if you don't have the right heart, you can't feel people's care.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I don't agree with John Wiltshire on everything. Everybody needs to understand that. John Wiltshire is a Republican. Okay, I'm a Democrat.
Right.
Okay, he's more conservative. He's not all conservative. I'm not all liberal, but he's more conservative. I'm more liberal. Facts. But I'm not dealing with him on either of those cases. I'm dealing with him and supporting him because what's in there?
My heart.
What's in there? That heart is why I support him, because I know his heart. I know his character. I know he's fair and will give you every break that the law allows. Now, if you're a knucklehead, if you're going to go to the jail and act a fool, don't take him weak. Don't think he's going to be weak. That's not him. But if you go out there and you try to do your time with some dignity and some high regard for the circumstance, then you can get treated well during your time. And I had good times and bad times when I was doing my time. I had good guards and bad guards. I had good jailers and bad jailers. But I'll tell you, a good worker at a county jail or at a courthouse is he brings so much peace to the situation that they're almost essential.
Yep, I agree with you.
So now how long did you work in the sheriff's department?
I was there 40 years. I worked under 3 different sheriffs.
40 years?
I worked under Carl Griffin, Walter Mitchell, and Al St. Lawrence.
40 years?
40 years.
That's too long to be alive. Good Lord.
And one of the things too, people have said about me, well, he don't have a college education. Well, I got a college education in hard knocks. While people were getting their degree, I was out there serving and protecting it. I have nothing against somebody that wants to get a higher education, but I'm a worker.
Well, here's a
That's what I'm
problem.
here for, people.
Now, see, I got a problem. And see, I'm in a field where there's certain groups that when you go to the church, if you don't have the degrees, well, I got the degrees, but they don't want a preacher that doesn't have a bachelor's or a master's or whatever. Well, that's not what I need when you come here. I need you to be sincere. I need you to be born again. I need you to be filled with the Holy Ghost and led by God.
That's correct.
Now, that's what I need in a sheriff. I need you to be saved,
Right.
okay, in the Lord. I need you to be fair. I need you to be experienced in the field, not theoretically,
Right.
okay? I don't need you to go in there with a bunch of hypotheses.
Right.
I know you. When the rubber meets the road, you know what to do in that jail.
Well, yeah, and you've got to go in there and surround yourself with the best people in that jail to make the best decisions in that jail. One person cannot do it. You have to have a lot of minds and a lot of thought to get things done. You know, they need to bring me the solutions to the problems, don't bring me the problems.
Well, you know we've had some tragedies
Yeah.
at the jail. I think some of that, matter of fact, most of it could have been avoided.
Yeah.
I think if we've got the right people, and I'm talking about you,
Yes, sir.
at the helm, and someone that, like you said, we're gonna set up a committee, we're gonna go in, we're gonna sit down, and actually from a practical aspect,
Right.
study it. A lot of people got a lot of degrees, and I got degrees, but if you don't have some time in service, if you don't have, I remember during the Vietnam period, they'd send the guys over calling 90-day wonders. Now they had the rank, but they would have to put them with one of the sergeants who'd been in field for a while. Other than that, they'd be dead before God got the news.
Yep.
And so what you got to do is you got to have a guy who knows how it works on the ground. I think we'll be a better place. Matter of fact, I don't think, I know Chatham County will be in better hands. We'll have a better sheriff if John Wiltshire is that sheriff. And I'm not just blowing smoke, and I'm not just being political. I'm not a lying man. If I tell you a puppy can pull a freight train, hook him up.
Hook him up.
He'll take it down the track.
Yep.
And that's just the way I've been, since I came to the Lord.
Ever since I've known you, you've always been that way.
Now, too often, we're still going to have some differences of opinion. I had a fellow today said, well, I don't know about voting for him because he's one of them rights, Second Amendment guys, and he said he thought if a person wanted to have an assault rifle, he could. And I'm a guy who says, no, I don't think that's good. But that's not what we elected you to do.
Well, one of the things a lot of people don't understand, Reverend, is in order to get an assault weapon, the sheriff does a background check on you, and they forward it to the FBI, and the FBI is the one that makes that decision, not the sheriff.
Uh-huh.
It's his right to refuse to do it, and he can refuse to do it. But it's the bottom end of the whole thing is left up to the FBI to say that you can get that $200 seal or not. And I've always said during my campaign, I believe in three things: freedom of speech, which you and I have right here now,
Right.
right to bear arms, and a right to vote. And whether the people vote for me or vote for the other candidate, they just need to get out and vote.
Get out and vote.
And that's the biggest thing now. People want to sit around and criticize what you and I do when we vote, and they don't vote. And that's not the way to do that, you know. People have got to voice their opinion.
Well, I'll go ahead and tell you right now. One of my best votes I ever voted in my entire life was for a fellow by the name of John Wiltshire. I waited about 20 years to vote for you.
And I know it, and you and I went round and around about 20 years that I should have done it earlier, but I didn't. And another one of my friends, too, done that. A guy named LeVon Oglesby, he's retired as a PD officer, black gentleman. And he said, you know, my whole life and my career, I voted straight Democrat. He said, but I am going to vote for you because I think you're the right person.
Well, people who know you.
Yeah.
People who know you, and I know you. This is not me speaking down the road across the creek.
Yeah.
I know you.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, if we can get decent, good, sound people in these strategic positions, we can be a better community.
Sure. Well, people want changes, Reverend. You know that. You've seen it. When you get 2/3 of the votes for 5 candidates, you see they want to change.
Yeah, yeah.
And they want to change for the better. You know, they're tired of the old establishment.
Well, you know, you up against the good old boys right now.
Well, you know, as my slogan is, I'm in it to win it in 16.
You got a slogan?
Yeah.
In it to win it in 16. Yeah, okay. A few final words for my audience.
Well, you know, again, like I said, exercise your constitutional right to vote. Or you vote for me or you vote for somebody else. That's the biggest thing. So you can have a voice in the community. And also make sure that you always take care of yourself plus your fellow man. And those are some of the things that I believe on. I want to do that. I want to serve and protect the people of this community that I've lived in all my life and grew up here, been here. I've been to places where other people never could go.
Amen.
Flamingo Park, I went there when I was a white kid.
Yeah.
Sportsman's Park, I went there when I was a white kid. And it was an all-black thing back
It
then,
was,
in
it
the
was.
60s and the 70s. I played semi-pro football with the blacks. You know, they've been my friends. I played on Park Avenue in Ott Street when I was a kid. But I didn't care. I didn't care because I was for the people in this community. I took people, what you said earlier, I took people to their heart.
Well, first of all, we want to thank you. Thank you for coming to be with us. Again, friends, you're looking at a show that's designed to inform, educate, and to inspire. This is Tell It Like It Is TV. You can look it up on Facebook or YouTube. Or you can go on Leonard's blog, that's Leonard, blog on Facebook. Again, we thank you for taking time. And this is my candidate, John Wiltshire,
Thank you, Reverend.
for sheriff
Appreciate it.
of Chatham
Thank you.
County. Thank
you,
God
sir.
for you.